So did you hit go? Oh, there we are.
It says preparing to live stream, setting up your meeting for Facebook Live. And there's a little blue thing going.
You're good.
Okay, it says unsupported GET request. Object ID cannot load due to missing permissions or does not support this operation.
Actually, you are live. I'm looking at you right now.
Okay.
So good morning, all of you Toastmasters and potential Toastmasters out there. Welcome to Wake Up with Toastmasters. We're doing things a little bit different this morning. I am your Program Quality Director for District 115, but your host today is the lovely Doris Tuckett, all the way from Canada, and she will introduce her guest, and I will be saying adieu because I have another meeting to go to, but I know that you're in good hands. So I'll see you later, Doris. If you have anything, just text me. I'll send you my text, okay?
Okay, thank you, Ken. Awesome. Hi, Bud. How are you doing? Oh, can't hear you, Bud.
Because I muted myself while you and Ken were doing your thing.
How are you doing?
I'm doing terrific.
Awesome. Now you're joining us from your car, and tell me a little bit about yourself. First of all, what was your very first Toastmaster meeting like? Bring it way.
Well, I have to go back even before the meeting because I was a corporate trainer, and at the end of training programs in corporations, you may have seen the little forms they hand out, the feedback forms. And I was looking over them after one of my sessions had finished and realized I had no idea whatsoever what people actually thought of my presentation, because I was getting comments like, well, the room was too cold, or the coffee didn't come early enough. It was things I couldn't control. And everything about me looked great. We used to call those things the glad sheets, because if you're any good at all, people would say, oh, it was terrific, and I couldn't figure a way to get better. And I remember years and years before hearing a speaker say, I did join Toastmasters, which I highly recommend. And I thought, okay, maybe there's a club somewhere in Buffalo or something like that. I only have to drive a couple of hours to get there. And I logged onto the internet and entered Toastmasters and found out there were clubs everywhere in my area. So I found the one that timing worked the best for me, and I contacted them. They invited me in, and I showed up for the meeting. And I joined in on the impromptu speaking portion of a Toastmasters meeting. It's called Table Topics. I joined in on that, took part, and afterwards, the club that I belong to has a Table Topics evaluator. Not every club does, but ours does. And so the evaluator stood up and said, well, Bud, you're obviously a very seasoned speaker. Did you know that you have this thing going with your hands where they're constantly in motion while you're talking? And it's actually very distracting. And that's something you could do to improve on your speaking. And I thought to myself, I haven't even joined this club, and I've already gotten some feedback that's going to help me grow. I joined the very next week.
Wow. Now you had your own business, so you were looking how you could improve your business. And over the years, how did it improve your business being a Toastmaster?
It's very hard to recognize change when it's gradual. I have grandchildren, and as they grew up, I saw them all the time, week to week. In fact, part of the time when they were growing up, they were living at our house. And so day to day, and then I'd see people who hadn't seen them for months come along and say, oh my goodness, how much you've changed. And I think, they haven't changed. It's kind of the same with me. I didn't realize how much better I was getting until I went to speak at a forum of other speakers. And the comment was made to me afterwards, the ums and ahs and filler words from the other speakers were very, very noticeable after you'd spoken. And I realized that I had improved, but I hadn't realized I had improved. I'd just gradually gotten better and better and better at things that Toastmasters teaches us.
That's for sure. Excellent. And it's true. It's such a gradual way that we just grow when we are part of Toastmasters. If we could record every speech that we did and start from the beginning and go to the present, and we do that now in many clubs, the meetings are recorded, we would actually see the difference. I've seen the difference in members within 6 months. Now I can see it. They may not always see it, and sometimes they do, but I often have seen members just flourish within a 6-month period and just continue to grow. And it's quite amazing to see. And I like your reference to grandchildren or even our children. We see them grow up and it happens so fast, but it does happen. If you were going to talk to someone, and I know you often do, about Toastmasters, what would be the top 2 reasons to join Toastmasters? Let's make it 3 reasons.
3 reasons. Okay, well, number 1 reason I encourage people to join Toastmasters is confidence. It's kind of strange. Confidence is not something that I always worried about because as I say, I had been doing corporate training for years. I had no problem getting up in front of a group. I probably should have had a problem because we have been recording speeches in my club, Black Walnut Toastmasters in Kitchener, Ontario, in Canada. We've been recording our speeches for about 15 years now. We went out, bought a camera, set it up on a tripod, and would record speeches. And I've gone back and looked at speeches that I gave just 5 years ago. And it's obvious to me the difference in how I'm speaking and the confidence with which I speak. So number 1, confidence. The number 2 reason I feel is structure. I have very often given speeches, and I gave one today at our club. My club meets before you guys come on the air. And I gave a speech today, and I started off with a quote. I started off saying, Oscar Wilde said, and I gave the quote from Oscar Wilde. And one of my evaluator feedbacks that I got was, instead of that, try saying the quote from Oscar Wilde, and then say, according to Oscar Wilde. Or, that's an Oscar Wilde quote. You attribute it, but you give the quote first because it has higher impact. And starting off with a good opening, then having a body that has a limited amount of information, because in our clubs, typically speeches are 5 to 7 minutes. And one of the mistakes we often make is trying to crowd too much information in to that 5 to 7 minutes. So you limit how much information you're going to share in the body of the speech, and then you have a conclusion that wraps it up nicely. And that kind of structure is something I learned in Toastmasters. I also learned it in high school, but the message didn't take. So years and years later, 40, 50 years later, when I joined Toastmasters, the message finally clicked in. And the third thing that I would say is a lesson that I take away from Toastmasters is this is the most amazing communication and leadership program in the world that nobody knows about. And what I mean by that is there have, in the history of Toastmasters, probably been about 1.5 million people who have belonged to Toastmasters at one time or another. Right now, there are maybe 300,000. COVID changed the numbers a little bit, but the numbers, you compare 300,000 people with almost 7 billion people in the world, and you realize not many people know about this program, but it is so well structured and so informative. And frankly, the growth option or availability in it is just amazing. So the third thing is share the message, pass the word out.
There's been a lot of changes the past few years, so we have had to adjust to learn how to reach out and get new members out there. And I know I belong to 4 clubs. 2 of them are straight up online and the other two are hybrid. One is in the process of becoming hybrid. What do you see with those changes, and how are you adjusting, and how are you seeing people around you adjusting to this new normal?
Well, my club went hybrid back in, I think it was June of last year. We went into a hybrid moment. And the reason we had to go hybrid, we couldn't just go straight back to meeting live, was because two of our members, since we were online for the 2 years previous to that, two of our members live in India. One of our members lives in Toronto, another one lives in Muskoka. Those aren't as far, but they're not going to drive an hour, 40 minutes, whatever. And the people in India, of course, not even possible for them to consider getting into our club anyway, except online. So when we decided to start meeting live again, we had to have the online element as well. Here's the problem. If you've been meeting for 2 years online, you've been used to looking at a computer screen. You've been used to looking at a little dot on your computer screen where the camera is, so that you're making eye contact with the people who are also online. Then you go live. And at first, it was just a bunch of people staring at screens. They were sitting around the same table, but they were all just staring at a screen. And it took us a while to get used to making eye contact in person as well. And the way we've adapted is to start thinking of the camera as just another person sitting around the table. So I'm making eye contact with this person over there, and this person over there, and that person down at the end of the table, and I'm making eye contact with the camera.
Mm-hmm. It's so important. It's so important because I have gone to some hybrid meetings. Sometimes members will look at the camera when they're doing a presentation. Other times I feel like I'm a fly on the wall, and it's like, hello, I'm here, I'm here. And the great thing about looking at a camera, I'm looking at the camera right now, I'm looking at everybody at once. And it is such a different way of thinking about communication. So when you are in a hybrid meeting, I'm looking at my camera right now, but I can look down at you just like you would be in person in the club environment. And it is challenging, but it's the new normal. We have to learn how to do that because this is not changing. We just have to adjust for sure, for sure. Now, you have been involved in so many ways within Toastmasters. Can you share with us some of the roles you have taken? You've been club mentor, you've been everything. So tell me maybe 2 or 3 things that you haven't been involved. Some of your favorite things within Toastmasters that you love doing personally.
That changes from time to time because of the size of the club. For example, the first role I took in a club executive was the role of membership chair. I was the membership board leader, VP of membership, we called it. And at the time, my club had 32 members. It was a struggle just to get an opportunity to speak just once a month. And that was with 3 speeches a week taking place in every meeting. Mm-hmm. We had a couple of meetings where we just did just speeches, nothing else, so that we could get a bunch of speakers get an opportunity to speak. So as VP of membership, I thought, well, my job, I don't have to do anything. What I didn't realize is there's a statistic in Toastmasters that says, typically, in a given renewal period, you will lose 1/3 of your members. Mm-hmm. And it isn't because you're doing it badly or anything like that. People grow, people join for a specific reason, and they achieve that, and they say, okay, well, I'm done. People's situations change. Our club meets first thing in the morning, but you have people who have joined and their boss decides that a good time to have a team meeting would be every Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock, which is smack in the middle of our meeting time. So they leave the club. They may join another club, but they leave. People leave for very good reasons. And the statistics say typically about 1/3 of your members will leave every year, every 6 months.
Wow.
And so I was the VP of membership and I didn't do anything. I wasn't helping people to, find ways to get people to join the club, didn't hold any contests, didn't do anything like that. And by the time I had finished my 1-year term, our club had grown to 12 members from 32.
Wow.
We'd lost a third of our members twice.
Wow.
And so I asked if I could be VP of membership a second term so that I could fix the thing that I'd messed up.
Mm-hmm.
And I found I love that role, the VP of membership, mostly because as a past winner of the international speech contest, the World Championship of Public Speaking, Lance Miller said, the VP of Public Relations is your marketing department in your club. VP of membership is sales. That is to say, it's the job of the VP of Public Relations to get guests coming into meetings. The VP of membership's job to get them to join.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I learned some exciting things with that.
Yeah, it takes really good teamwork within a Toastmasters club. Everybody that is within the club, we all have a responsibility to make sure our club is as successful as possible. And that means everyone, not just the members on the executive, but the executive members. When you have an executive team that works together, wow, you can have a really strong club. And I've seen that. And it is a challenge. I've been everything within a club. And this year, it is a club of regrowth within quite a few clubs. It is a challenging time right now, but this is also a learning curve. Usually when we do have challenges, if we face them head on, I find that we can overcome them and learn more about ourselves and our leadership skills. Do you feel that way?
Oh, I totally agree. You were saying, it makes a good team in a club, but I think you could have ended that sentence after the word team, because when a team in a company is working together, in a social organization, in a church, if you're in Rotary or Kinsman or Kiwanis, any of that stuff there, if you have a team that is pulling together, it's unbeatable. It's amazing. There's a quote from the Bible that says, if one can put 1,000 to flight, two can put 10,000 to flight. Most people don't know the third part of that saying, which is a triple braided cord cannot be broken.
Mm.
That's from Proverbs, but it's so true in real life, is that if you can get just 3 people working as a team, it's powerful. And in Toastmasters, you learn how to work as a team. And that passes on to your work environment.
And different personalities working together. It can be a challenge when you really take that time to learn each personality and even your own personality and how you work. Right?
It's interesting you say that, because the speech I did today was about understanding emotional intelligence.
Okay.
And emotional intelligence is all about understanding, first of all, how your emotions impact how you interact with other people, but also understanding the other people's emotions. And as a team leader, learning how to adapt what the team is doing to what people are experiencing in their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is just a speech. It was part of the Pathways project. And I learned something just in the last 2 weeks from doing the project.
It's interesting when we're doing speeches and we're doing the research for those speeches and we're sharing them, we're learning as well as sharing that knowledge within our club, within the organization, because I know you have gone to different clubs and done speeches, and you've gone out into, your job, into the community, and also shared as well.
Yeah, very true.
Excellent. So we just have 2 more minutes. I'm just going to keep it. This is like a table topics. What would you like to talk about, Bud? What would you like to talk about Toastmasters, your experience? What would you like to share?
Well, it's an interesting thing. I notice on your lapel you've got your Toastmasters pin. I think you do. Looks like it. And you can't see it, but I've got my Toastmasters pin right here on my collar. And for the Toastmasters who are watching this, I would say always wear your pin. And I've had people respond to that when I say that, say, oh yeah, I always wear my pin to a Toastmasters meeting. I said, no. Always wear your pin. Because someday, and it might be years before it happens, or you might have it happen twice in a week, you're going to have somebody say to you, I notice you're always wearing that pin. What is it about? And you can say, well, I'm glad you asked. And I belong to an organization called Toastmasters, and we're helping each other learn to be more effective communicators and leaders. And it's a structured program. We meet once a week. We practice on each other. It's a fabulous program. You should come out and check us out. And I encourage every Toastmaster out there, do that as often. Have a 30-second elevator speech available for when somebody says, what is this Toastmasters thing? And be ready to talk about it. Because like I said before, it is the best communication and leadership training program in the world that nobody knows about. So that would be my table topic.
So true. Yes. Just sharing with people with your experience, like you can share this any way that you choose to within, like I do on Facebook all the time. I put if there's a special speaker, if there's an open house and so forth, I'm always sharing, and especially with my home club, the Energetics. Can you share your home club as well?
Yes, my home club, I actually mentioned it before. It's called the Black Walnut Toastmasters Club. We meet in Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, at 7:30 in the morning, every Wednesday morning. And when I say every Wednesday morning, we don't actually do it when Wednesday is Christmas or New Year's or something. But if Wednesday is Boxing Day or the day before Christmas, we'll still meet. And we regularly get together. There are, I think, 5 of us sitting around the table this morning that were live, and then a bunch of people who are online. So it's a way to keep yourself, and it gets us excited first thing in the morning.
Well, it's a great way to start the day. Like this is a great way to start the day for me. Of course, here we're Eastern Standard Time. It's 9 a.m. in the morning. So it's not like Las Vegas in District 115 where it's 6 a.m. when it's 9 a.m. here. So we've had breakfast, we've had our coffee, we've maybe, checked out our phones and whatever we want. So it's a different time, but it's a great way to start the day first thing in the morning. I know I have joined in on your club virtually. I have done some presentations, and I've also visited in person when you had your club meeting in just straight up in person. I have not been to a hybrid meeting yet. I'll have to get up nice and early and attend one. So thank you, Bud. It was just such a pleasure that you joined us this morning. And thank you so much. We'll have to have you once again. I feel like you have so much experience from so many years. How many years have you been in Toastmasters now?
22.
22 years.
Well, 21 and a half, to be really accurate.
Okay, that's amazing. So I'm sure you really have influenced so many people around you with your Toastmaster experience. I know a lot of people poured a lot into you through the years as well. It's a give and take experience. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and have a wonderful day, everybody, in our virtual environment. Have a great day, everyone. And
Thanks for having me.
Yes, and we shall see you next week. And Bud, please join us, and you can use the chat when visitors can visit us on live and ask questions in the chat. So you're more than welcome to join us after your meeting as our virtual audience as well. But we will be having Bud back again. We need to hear more about all your Toastmasters experiences. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And we'll see you next week.